Well, as a venue, it's not one that leaps out at you
Yeah.
as being appropriate. But not really being a Butlins aficionado, didn't really know that much about it. It just has redcoat, Heidi High sort of connotations, doesn't it? And it doesn't feel like it would be the right sort of vibe. But it's all right when you get here. In a different context, it's actually okay. Venue's a bit strange. The only thing I'm particularly embarrassed that except for Battles, I don't really know any of the bands at all. So I feel really out of touch, to be honest. It's an interesting idea. I don't know
Yeah.
of anyone else that does it. I've never heard of it before. Where bands get to choose their own lineup, but I, I, I don't know. Maybe it's more common than I realise. We started to talk about it quite some time ago, well into last year, and then I was touring America in October, November time. So they came to see us in Boston. So that's the first time I met them. We talked about it more. We was doing that, and then a few months went by, and then they sent me a track to listen to, decide if I could do anything with it, which is great, which is a My Machines track, and I did. I made a huge cock up actually. I downloaded it wrong. I'm meant to be this sort of godfather of electronica and know all my technology. And I just made this real basic mistake, and I downloaded it at half speed and didn't notice. So I wrote this whole thing all based on the track running at half speed and sent it back. And they were really polite, and they said, it's not quite what we were looking for. And then I found out I'd done it at the wrong speed, and I was really embarrassed. So did it again, did something completely different for the track at the right speed, because it makes a difference, and sent that back, and that's what went out. So it was it was a bit of an embarrassing process actually, my part of it, but I'm glad the way it worked out. It worked out really well. Oh, it's not so much compromise really. It's not like I've got some big artistic banner that I'm flying. It is. I don't think anyone would know my other stuff either. Most of my big songs. I've got a couple of big songs that most people know, most, not all, but the rest of it, even all the stuff that's sort of top 10 and top 5 and those sort of singles, I think they've kind of been forgotten over the years. So I just don't think many of the people coming here today would know much of my stuff at all. We do Cars, obviously, people know that one. And there's another song called Our Friends Electric that they probably know. We do those. We do those in a normal set anyway. I don't really like doing a lot of old stuff in my own set because I'm just not. I've done. I worked it out once. If I was to do a set of just my singles, it would be over 2 hours long, 2.5 hours long or something. So the problem I have isn't what you do, it's what you don't do. Because I've got, I don't know, 300 or 400 songs out. It's ridiculous, but large back catalogue. And so what do you do? Do you just go out and do greatest hits tours or old hits tours every time you go out, or do you not? And I choose not to. If the older fans would stop moaning about the fact that I don't do much old stuff, I will do these old album tours once in a while. I've done 3 in the last 10 or 12 years, I think, something like that. Because they're not really top of my list of things that I want to do, but I do recognise that I don't do that much old stuff. And it did get to a point where it felt as if I was kind of sticking my fingers up a little bit at people that have been there from the beginning, and I didn't ever mean it that way. It was just creatively I want to do what I'm doing now. And so, but I did recognise that it was being perceived the wrong way. So I started to do these old album tours, very very rarely, as my way of saying I am grateful that you're still there and that you follow, and I know you'd rather listen to this stuff than the new stuff. So I'll do that once in a while. But my own heart is in the newer stuff. That's what I want to be doing. And I think there's just an element of my fan base that would just like me to go out and do these albums forever. And use the same equipment, keep the same sound, sing about the same things, wear the same clothes. There is always that element of people that don't want to lose that moment, I think, when they find something that excites them or becomes kind of an important part of their life that they don't want to lose or they want to relive, which is why these here and now type tours, I think, do as well as they do, because every band has an element of its audience that wants to relive that forever. Um, but it's, I'd rather eat worms. Well, my career was pretty much dead and finished around about 91, 92. Didn't have a record deal, massive debts, couldn't give away tickets for gigs, couldn't give away albums. I was finished, to be honest. Which in a bizarre way saved me, because it was so bad that I pretty much gave up any thoughts of commercial success again, or radio play and all that sort of nonsense that comes with it. And I went back to making music for the love of it, and the whole got corrupted by the whole commercial thing and success and the pressures of record companies making you want to do this, that and the other. And I always thought I was arrogantly focused, and I think for the first 2 or 3 years I probably was. But then as the career started to struggle, I started to listen to advice from those people, and that's a kiss of death. Once you start to write a song because somebody suggests it might be the way to go, you've abandoned your own integrity, and from that moment you're in trouble. So now when I'm in the studio, instead of just getting on with it and churning the stuff out and loving it, I'm almost bipolar. In that I can go out in the morning, I can do something what I think is brilliant and I love it. I'll call up Gemma and say, come home because I've done this thing, have a listen. And by the time she gets home an hour later, I've hated it, and I've erased it, and I even have a thought that this song might be good for radio. I stop it, just erase the fucker, erase it, because that's not the attitude I ever want to have again.